It's kind of wild when you think about it. We're living in this age where we have more information at our fingertips than ever before in history, and yet businesses are still making these huge, costly mistakes. Buyers are still making bad choices. It just doesn't add up, right? If all the information is out there for everyone, how can anyone still have an advantage? Well, the answer is this fascinating idea called information asymmetry, but its meaning has totally changed. So let's get into it.
Just think about it for a second. Right now, you can go to an AI, ask it to whip up a dozen different pricing strategies for your new product, and it'll spit out a full competitor analysis, all in the time it takes you to brew a cup of coffee. It's instant.
Or let's say you want to learn about marketing funnels. Boom! Instantly, you've got thousands of videos, blogs, endless social media threads, all of them just laying out so-called insider knowledge for free.
And on top of all that, we've got comparison sites, customer reviews, industry benchmarks. You look at all this, and it really feels like all the secrets are out, right? Like there's nothing left to hide.
But that's where the paradox kicks in. If everyone has access to the exact same information, why do we see this all the time? Two businesses, they read the same advice, watch the same videos, and one of them just crushes it, builds their profit margins, while the other one just builds more stress. The advantage didn't disappear. No way. It just moved.
All right, so let's start by poking a hole in this whole idea of a level playing field. Has all this access to information really made things equal for everyone? I'm not so sure.
Okay, so to really dig into this, we need to understand this core concept, information asymmetry. All it really means is that in any deal, one person knows more than the other. The classic example, the one everyone uses, is buying a used car. The seller, they know every little squeak and rattle, the car's real history. You, the buyer, you don't. And that imbalance of power, that completely changes the outcome. And for most of history, that advantage came from simply having information that the other person didn't.
But think about today. The car's specs are online, customer reviews are everywhere. You can ask an AI to explain what drivetrain means in 2 seconds. So the asymmetry, that imbalance, it didn't just disappear, it just morphed. And this right here is where things get super interesting.
See, the whole game has changed. It used to be about hoarding information, keeping secrets. Now it's about making sense of the flood of information that everyone already has. The advantage isn't in access anymore, it's in interpretation. And this right here, this quote just nails the new power dynamic. It's moved from "I know something you don't" to "I understand what matters, you don't." Think about that. Everybody has the data, but almost nobody has real clarity. The real advantage today is being able to see cause and effect, to know what's actually important and what's just noise.
So, the question is, how do you actually build this new kind of asymmetry? Well, it all starts with the most fundamental skill of all, being able to separate the valuable signals from all the distracting noise. And trust me, that's way harder than it sounds.
Okay, so let's jump right into that first big challenge. How to navigate the signal, the noise, and just the questionable quality of the information we're all drowning in. Have you ever wondered why your social media feed is just jam-packed with that shallow, do this one weird trick kind of advice? Well, this table breaks it down perfectly. The stuff that spreads like wildfire is simple, it's confident, and it hits you emotionally. Why? Because that's what the algorithms are designed to reward. And the good stuff, the advice that's nuanced, that's actually correct and rational, yeah, that stuff spreads really slowly. And the result is that the information that feels good to hear travels way farther than the information that actually, works.
So how do you protect yourself from all that noise? You need a filter, a good one. Before you even think about acting on any piece of advice, just run it through these 5 simple questions. First, who is telling me this, and have they actually done it themselves? Second, does this really apply to my specific situation, or is it just generic fluff? 3, what's their incentive for telling me this? 4, where's the proof? Like the real evidence. And finally, 5, is this something I can actually use tomorrow? Look, if a piece of information doesn't help you make a better decision, it's just noise, period.
All right, now we have to talk about the elephant in the room, the biggest new force in this whole landscape. Let's get into why AI is actually an amplifier and not the great leveler so many people claim it is.
Here is the absolute fundamental truth about AI in business. It's a force multiplier. It's like a megaphone for your own thinking. It just amplifies whatever you bring to the table. So if you come to it with structured, clear thinking, you get clarity, but at this unbelievable scale. But, and this is a big but, if you're reactive and confused when you use it, all you get is more confusion, just a whole lot faster than before. So the most crucial point to get is this. AI does not create clarity. It responds to it. It's a system that rewards people who already have a framework, who know which questions are the right ones to ask, and who deeply understand the constraints of their own business. It doesn't hand you good judgment. It just gives you an output based on the judgment you already have.
Okay, so we've established that the rules of the game have changed. So how in the world do you build a real lasting advantage now? Let's get into our final section and make this really, really practical.
This right here, this is probably the single biggest mental shift you need to make. Your goal is not to collect more information. It's to build more clarity. Your job now is to decide what actually matters, to ignore everything else, and to turn good ideas into real action. You've got to stop being a passive content consumer and start being a deliberate decision maker.
So how do you create this positive asymmetry for yourself? You do it by deliberately building clarity in a few key areas. Look, instead of chasing every shiny new trend, go deep, not broad. Become the clearest thinker in your specific niche. Instead of just collecting a million different opinions, build your own frameworks for making decisions so you can filter out all the noise. Get crystal clear on buyer psychology and get financially literate so you know which numbers actually drive your business. And maybe most importantly, sequence your improvements with that clarity. I mean, don't you dare spend a dime on promotion until your positioning is solid. And don't chase scale until your margins are healthy and clear.
Really, it all boils down to this one idea. In a world that is just overflowing with information, the winners are not the people with the most access. They're the ones with the most clarity. These are the people who don't chase every trend, they have clearly defined priorities, they know their numbers inside and out, and they act with real intent.
So, I'm going to leave you with this one final thought to chew on. We live in a world where literally anyone can get an answer to anything in seconds. The advantage is no longer in the answer itself. It's in the quality of the thinking that you do before you even ask the question. So the real question for you is, what advantage are you deliberately building? Because honestly, how you answer that is what's going to define your success.